All right, time now for our weekend cover story. This morning, we face a confronting question. Would you want to live forever?
Now, whether that concept excites you or scares you, the technology to make it happen is closer than we think.
Attention, stage 1. Laser cutting begins. Laser cutting complete.
You'd be forgiven for thinking cryogenic freezing belongs in a Hollywood script, but this is reality. Right now, there's an estimated 600 people suspended in time around the world. And here in Australia, in the New South Wales town of Holbrook, the country's first facility is ready to open the freezer doors. So, how does it work? Once a person dies, their body is injected with chemicals, frozen and stored in a container. It's there they remain until science catches up, in the hope they'll one day be brought back to life. But who knows when that might be.
Wow, to discuss, we are joined by Southern Cryonics founder Peter Solakidis in Sydney and best-selling author Alan Peace on the Sunshine Coast. Gentlemen, good morning to you both. Peter, let's start with you. What a fascinating idea. Mind officially blown. What led you to create this facility?
Good morning and thank you for welcoming me to your program. Look, I got interested in cryonics many years ago when I was young, much younger than what I am now. I thought by the time I retired, which is now, that a facility would be available. It would be just walking down the road and joining an organisation. It just seemed such a good idea. There are good facilities in the US, but there aren't any in Australia. So about 12 years ago, a group of us got together. We developed a cryonics organisation, and what we did was we also developed a supporting network. And now we're excited to say that we have a facility in Australia with all the supporting network in place. So we're ready to go.
I mean, Peter, I don't think I can quite grasp this concept. You're saying we actually have the technology when you die to put you in this chamber, but yet we don't know if or when you'll be able to be woken up. Is that right?
Absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. The technology to suspend somebody is pretty well in place, but to bring somebody back to life is for the science of the future. So what we're doing is we're applying the best technology currently available to suspend somebody. It's called vitrification. It's a glass-like state. It's also the technology that they use or they're working on for preserving organs, for body transplants. So we've got the technology in place to do it. As you said, the revival is for the science of the future.
Well, 47 Australians have already put their hand up. You might be 48 after this, Jane. We'll see how this goes. Alan, you and your wife, Alan, you're among those of the 47 that have signed up. Why did you decide to be cryogenically preserved?
Well, the real question here is how much do you like your life? And for Barbara and I, we have loved our life. We've spent 33 years travelling the world. Our life's been like a Hollywood movie, both the highs and the lows, because the lows teach you to be better and stronger. And we just can't imagine giving it up. So if you love your life and you want to keep going, why should you have to give it up and go to eternal blackness if there's an option? Now, for younger people who live to be 2050, that's the year they're saying that the science should be advanced, they'll have the option to extend their life. For us right now, it's not quite there. It's close, but for us, we're going to take the middle line of cryogenics, which is freezing ourselves till the science comes out. We don't want to be the first ones to come back because, experimental's not necessarily real good. So when we come back, we'll be ready for it.
Okay. I just need to break this down a bit. Now, Alan, as I understand it, you won't be coming back in your own body. It's more like your brain will be coming back with some sort of robotic body. Is that right?
Well, that's an option.
Okay.
I mean, the thing that makes you is your brain and your brain connections, the electrical part of your brain, your memories, your feelings, everything's in your head. And that's why in places like America, you've got the option of just freezing your head, which is about half the price. So a lot of people will do that over there. In Australia, you can't just freeze a head. A head's still seen to be a body and you've got to bury it and get rid of it. So I think... what was the question again? I was so busy about going back.
The question was whether you come back as you or whether it's just your brain that comes back as like a robot, I guess.
Well, there'll be a couple of options by the time we come back. Okay. One is that if you imagine we stick a USB tube in your ear, Jane, and take a copy of you. Now, that can be then transplanted into a robotic, because lots of people are robotic anyway with their parts. Everything below your chin we can grow on the back of a rat. It's just an organ. We want to preserve the brain. So you can either come back as a robot, or you can come back as digital, like in a video game. And as Elon Musk, who's one of the latest to sign up, says that he'll probably email himself through the black hole to another galaxy, because you won't need air, you won't need food, but you can still look like yourself if you want to. And when I come back, I don't want this body. I have worn this body out. I want a new one.
It's not April Fool's Day, is it?
No,
Like, this
check
is
the
actually
date.
happening.
Have you seen Austin Powers? You know they steal the mojo, right? And you're worried about while you're chilling in the fridge that someone might tamper with what's left.
Look, 25 years ago, if we told you that you would today have the whole world's knowledge in your hand, be connected to billions of people on a phone, you'd say, lock the guy up. Yet today we don't even think about that. 6 months ago, who'd ever heard of ChatGPT, artificial intelligence? So, look, picture this. If you're flying in a plane over the Alps, the captain comes on and says, unfortunately, all the engines have gone out and we're going to crash in 20 minutes, so you're faced with certain death. Then the captain says, well, look, we've got some experimental parachutes on board here. We've never tried them. We think they're going to work okay. Would you take the parachute? And the answer is, for us, we're taking the parachute.
Okay, Peter, let's get to the reality of this. How much are people paying at the moment, and how confident are you that this is actually going to work?
Okay, level of confidence. Look, there are no guarantees here. There are no guarantees in cryonics. But versus the alternative of dying, there's a reasonable chance versus that alternative. So we're confident versus that reasonable chance that if you die, you're gone forever. But with cryonics, you do have a reasonable chance. As Alan mentioned, it's the parachute case.
Okay.
The cost is, and I'll frame it two different ways. Most people pay through life insurance. So the cost is actually $150,000. But through life insurance, the whole thing costs you about $1 to $2 a day. $30 to $60 a month is roughly the cost for a typical person to join and then be suspended in the future.
But what's the guarantee that, once you've passed on, that you're actually going to stay frozen and somebody's not going to say, oh, we've got their money now, we'll, let them unfreeze?
Well, one good thing is we're a non-profit organisation, and it's been run by the people who are really interested in cryonics. I mean, every one of the people who have joined up are very interested in cryonics. And as we keep moving on, the people who will take over after me will be very interested in cryonics, will be younger than me, and so will the people after them, and they will have themselves or their relatives or people very close to them suspended. So we see the longevity that way. And by the way, the two US organisations have been going for 60 years now, the two major US organisations.
Wow.
I mean, it's fascinating.
Quite possibly the most interesting story I've ever done on this couch.
I want to keep talking about it, but our producer is saying we have to move on to the next story now.
Alan, Peter, thank you both, gentlemen. We appreciate your time this morning. It is a great talking point. Who will be number 48 to sign up for that? That is a conversation being had around breakfast tables across Australia this morning, I would say.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my God. Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?